I bought a dead fan motor for $13. It was sitting in a bin at a scrapyard, covered in dust, next to a pile of broken microwaves nobody wanted. The guy at the counter laughed when I asked for it. He said, "That thing hasn't spun in years, man. Take it for free." I paid him the $13 anyway. And 3 weeks later, that same motor was quietly making electricity in my backyard. For nothing. No fuel. No subscription. No monthly bill attached to it. Just wind, copper, and a little bit of stubbornness. If you're new to this channel, we don't do hype here. We don't do fake numbers. We don't tell you that you'll power your whole house for $40 and retire early. What we do is take boring, overlooked pieces of economics and engineering, and we test them, slowly, honestly, and we show you exactly what happens. Sometimes it works, sometimes it fails completely. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll know which one this is. Before we go further, if this is the kind of thing you want more of, hit subscribe now, because this channel is built entirely around real experiments, not entertainment tricks. And I want you here for the next one too. Now let's talk about why this even matters. Every year, millions of small motors get thrown away. Ceiling fans, box fans, old air conditioners, blenders, treadmills, garage door openers. Almost all of them have a motor inside, and almost nobody thinks twice about that motor once the appliance stops working. We treat it like garbage. But here's the part that most people don't know, and it's the part that changes everything. A motor and a generator are, in a very real sense, the same machine, just running in two different directions. A motor takes electricity and turns it into spinning motion. A generator takes spinning motion and turns it into electricity. Same coils, same magnets, same basic physics. The only real question is whether the specific motor you have is any good at doing it backwards. That's where most people get it wrong, and honestly, that's where I almost got it wrong too. Not every motor spins into a generator easily. Some are built cheap, with ceramic magnets that are weak and inconsistent. Some use thin wire that overheats the moment you push real current through it. And if you watch enough videos online, you'll see creators claim you can just wire any old fan motor straight into a battery and boom, free power forever. That's not fully honest, and I'm not going to do that to you. What I did instead was slower and more real, and I'm going to walk you through every single step, including the parts that didn't go the way I expected. The first thing I did was open the motor up completely. Inside, I found exactly what I suspected. Old-style ceramic magnets, the weak kind, glued along the inside of the housing. These magnets are fine for spinning a plastic fan blade for a few hours a day. They are not strong enough to generate meaningful electricity when you spin the shaft by hand or by wind. This is the exact contradiction some viewers pointed out on similar videos before, and they were right to question it. If a creator tells you no wiring changes needed, and then later swaps the magnets, that's not the same project anymore. That's a different machine wearing the same shell. So let's be straight about it from the start. To make this motor genuinely useful as a generator, I did have to upgrade the internals. I replaced the weak ceramic magnets with stronger neodymium magnets, and I rewound part of the coil with slightly thicker copper wire to handle more current without cooking itself. Now, some of you are already doing the math in your head, and good, you should be. Neodymium magnets aren't free. A basic set for a motor this size runs somewhere between $15 and $25 depending on where you order them, and copper wire adds a few more dollars on top of that. So the honest total cost of this project isn't $13. It's closer to $40 once you count the motor, the magnets, the wire, and a few basic tools you probably already own. I want that number sitting in your head clearly right now, because I'm not going to hide it later and pretend this was some miracle free lunch. Economics doesn't work that way, and neither does this channel. But here's why I still think this is worth doing, and it's not about instant payback. It's about understanding a system. Once the motor was rewound and remagnetized, I mounted it onto a simple frame with 3 lightweight blades cut from old plastic sheeting. Nothing fancy. No 3D printer. No laser cutter. Just a handsaw, a drill, and a lot of trial and error to get the blade pitch roughly balanced. The first version wobbled so badly I thought I'd wasted my weekend. The second version, after trimming the blades slightly uneven on purpose to reduce vibration, actually held steady in a light breeze. And that's when I connected it to a small multimeter for the first time. Not a battery, not a light bulb, just a multimeter, because I wanted honest numbers before I made any promises to you or to myself. In a light afternoon breeze, maybe 10 to 12 miles an hour, the motor produced a small but real voltage. Nothing dramatic, nothing that would make headlines. But it was there, consistent, and climbing higher as the wind picked up. For the first time, the $13 scrap motor, now a $40 rebuilt generator, was doing something. It was making electricity out of nothing but moving air. I want to pause here and be clear about something important. This video is not going to end with me claiming I powered my entire house. I'm not going to show you a fake electric bill or a dramatic number that doesn't hold up to basic math, because plenty of people online have done that, and plenty of viewers, including some right here on this channel, are sharp enough to catch it immediately. What I am going to show you in the next part of this video is exactly what this little wind generator was actually capable of powering, how much real money it saved over time, whether that number justifies the work and the cost, and whether this is something worth doing yourself or something better left as an interesting idea, because economics isn't about excitement. It's about whether the numbers actually hold up when nobody's watching. So stick with me, because the real test, the one where I hook this thing up to an actual load and measure real results over real days, is coming right now. Once I had a small, honest voltage reading on the multimeter, the next question was obvious. Could this little rebuilt motor actually charge something useful, or was it just going to sit there proving a point on paper and nothing else? So I connected it carefully through a basic rectifier and a charge controller to a small 12-volt battery, the same kind you'd find in a motorcycle or a backup camera system. Nothing exotic. Nothing expensive. I wanted this test to reflect what an ordinary person sitting in their garage on a weekend could realistically put together without spending a fortune on specialized parts. The first evening, I checked the battery voltage before sunset, and again the next morning. It had climbed slightly, but it had climbed. That tiny movement on the display meant something bigger than the number itself. It meant the system worked. It meant a motor that started this project sitting in a scrap bin, unwanted and disconnected, was now quietly, without me touching it, pulling energy out of moving air and storing it. There's something strange about watching that happen for the first time. You expect it to feel dramatic, but it doesn't. It just feels quiet and steady, like watching a plant grow. Nothing flashy, just consistent progress in the background while you go about your day. Over the next 5 days, I tracked it properly. Not guessing, not rounding favorably, just writing down real numbers morning and night. Some days the wind barely moved and the battery gained almost nothing. Other days, when a stronger breeze came through in the afternoon, the gain was noticeably higher. By the end of the 5 days, the battery had gained enough charge to run a small LED lighting setup, the kind you might use in a shed or a chicken coop for several hours each night. Not the whole house, not even close. Just a small, steady background trickle of usable power, entirely free once the system was built. Here's where I want to slow down and actually talk numbers, because this is where a lot of similar videos completely lose credibility. And I understand why viewers get frustrated. If someone claims they saved $40 in a single month from a project like this, then in the very same video says their monthly savings amount to less than $1. That math simply doesn't add up, and sharp viewers will catch it every time, and they should. So let's do this properly, together, using real consumer electricity pricing as a rough guide. A small trickle charging system like this one, running consistently, might offset somewhere around 50 cents to $1 of electricity use per month, depending heavily on your local wind conditions and how much load you're actually running off the battery. That's the honest range. It's not exciting. It's not going to pay off your mortgage. But it's real. And real numbers matter more than exciting ones, especially on a channel built around economics. At that rate, the $40 investment in magnets, wire, and basic materials would take years, realistically several years, to fully pay for itself in pure electricity savings. If you're only looking at this as a strict dollar-for-dollar investment, it does not compete with simply staying connected to the grid. And I think it's important to say that clearly, instead of dancing around it the way some content online tends to do. This is not a replacement for your power bill. It is not a hidden trick that utility companies don't want you to know about. It's a small, functional backyard-scale generator built from a motor that would have otherwise ended up in a landfill. So why does any of this matter then, if the financial payback is slow? This is where the economics of the situation get more interesting than the simple math suggests. First, there's the value of understanding a system firsthand. Once you've built something like this, once you've opened a motor, replaced its magnets, rewound its coil, and watched it turn wind into stored electricity with your own hands, you understand energy differently than you did before. You stop thinking of electricity as something that just appears from a wall socket, and you start thinking of it as something that has to be generated, moved, and stored every single time by something, somewhere. That shift in thinking is worth more than the dollar amount on your utility bill, even if it doesn't show up as a number. Second, there's resilience. A small trickle charger like this isn't meant to run your refrigerator during a blackout, but it can keep a battery topped up for emergency lighting, for charging a phone, for running a small radio, during a storm when the power grid itself goes down. In that specific situation, the value of this system isn't measured in cents per month. It's measured in whether you have light and communication when everyone around you doesn't. That's a different kind of economics entirely, the kind that doesn't show up on a spreadsheet until the one day you actually need it. Third, and this is something a few sharp commenters pointed out on a similar project before, and they were completely right to bring it up. Motors are not naturally efficient generators. The physics working in your favor when electricity spins a motor does not work equally well in reverse. You lose energy to resistance in the wire, to friction in the bearings, to the simple fact that these motors were never engineered from the ground up to be generators in the first place. So if you're expecting laboratory efficiency out of a rebuilt appliance motor, you will be disappointed. What you're actually getting is a rough backyard-grade approximation of a real wind generator, built at a fraction of the cost of a commercial one, with a fraction of the output to match. And that trade-off, low cost against low output, is really the entire story here. It's not a scam, it's not a miracle, it's a genuine small-scale demonstration of a real physical principle, built by hand, tested honestly, with real numbers instead of exaggerated ones. Whether that trade-off is worth it for you depends entirely on what you're looking for. If you want a serious dent in your electricity bill, this is not that project, and nothing at this scale will be that project. But if you want to understand how energy actually works, if you want a small emergency backup system, or if you simply enjoy building something functional out of parts other people throw away, then this $13 motor, rebuilt into a $40 wind generator, becomes something genuinely worth having in your garage. In the final part of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how this system held up after 2 full weeks outside, through real wind, real rain, and one genuinely rough storm that I honestly wasn't sure it would survive. And I'll give you my honest final verdict on whether this is a project worth your weekend, or one better left as an interesting idea you read about once and move on from. 2 weeks is long enough for a project like this to stop being a novelty and start being a real test of whether it actually holds up. So that's exactly what I gave it. I left the rebuilt motor mounted on its simple homemade frame, sitting outside, exposed to whatever weather showed up, no babysitting, no adjustments, just letting it run the way it would for anyone who actually built this for themselves and walked away from it. The first week was mild, light wind, a few overcast days, nothing dramatic. The battery kept climbing slowly, the way it had before. Small gains, nothing exciting, but consistent. Then on day 11, a genuine storm rolled through. Strong gusts, heavy rain, the kind of weather that makes you nervous about anything you built with a handsaw and a drill in your garage. I remember standing at the window that night, watching the blades spin faster than I'd ever seen them move, wondering if I was about to lose the whole project to a single bad night. The next morning, I walked outside expecting the worst. What I found instead was the frame still standing, slightly tilted from the wind, one blade with a small crack near the tip, but still spinning, still functional. The motor itself, the part I'd spent the most time rebuilding, was completely fine. The magnets hadn't shifted, the rewound coil hadn't overheated or shorted out. And when I checked the battery, it had actually gained more charge that stormy night than during any single day in the 2 weeks before it. Strong wind, it turns out, is exactly what this simple design needed to prove its actual worth. And for one night at least, it delivered more than I expected. That single stormy night taught me something important about this whole project, something that connects directly back to the economics of it. A system like this isn't valuable because of what it does on a calm, average day. It's valuable because of what it does during the extreme moments, the storms, the outages, the situations where a small amount of stored, self-generated power actually matters. On a calm day, this rebuilt motor is a curiosity. During a storm, when the grid goes down and everyone around you loses power, it's the difference between sitting in the dark and having a light, a charged phone, a working radio. That's not a number you can put neatly into a spreadsheet, but it's real value. And it's the kind of value that traditional cost per month calculations completely miss. So let's bring this all the way back to the original question. Is a $13 junk motor really a free power generator? Not exactly, and I think you deserve the honest version of that answer instead of the exciting one. The motor itself cost $13. The magnets, the wire, and the basic materials to rebuild it properly brought the real total closer to $40. The electricity it generates is genuinely free once built, but the amount is small. Small enough that on strict dollar-for-dollar terms, it would take years to fully repay the initial investment through savings alone. If you're looking purely at a return on investment, this project does not win that argument, and I won't pretend otherwise just to make a more exciting video. But economics has never been only about direct financial return, and that's really the whole point of this channel. Some value comes from resilience, from having a working backup system when the regular grid fails. Some value comes from education, from actually understanding, with your own hands, how energy moves from wind into a spinning shaft, into a coil, into stored electricity in a battery. And some value comes simply from taking something the world has already decided is garbage, a dead $13 motor destined for a landfill, and turning it into something that quietly, steadily, does real work every single day it sits outside. I think that's worth something, even if it never shows up as a dramatic number on an electricity bill. I think there's real value in understanding systems instead of just consuming them, in knowing how the things around you actually function instead of treating them as magic boxes that either work or don't. This project, it didn't make me rich. It didn't replace my power bill, but it changed how I think about waste, about energy, and about what's actually possible with a weekend, a bit of stubbornness, and $13 worth of scrap metal that almost nobody else wanted. Now, I want to hear from you, honestly, because this channel only works when this becomes a conversation instead of a lecture. Have you ever built something like this yourself out of parts other people had already given up on? Do you think a slow, small return like this one is worth the effort? Or would you rather spend that same weekend and that same $40 on something with a faster, more obvious payoff? I genuinely want to know where you land on this because there's no single right answer here, only trade-offs. And I think the comment section is exactly where those trade-offs deserve to be argued out properly. If this video gave you a clearer, more honest picture of what a project like this actually involves, the real cost, the real output, the real limitations, then do me a favor and share it with one person you know who's ever said they wanted to try something like this themselves. Not for the algorithm, not because I need the numbers, but because I think more people deserve the honest version of this story instead of the exaggerated one that's usually out there. And if you're still with me at this point, if you've made it all the way to the end of this video, that tells me you actually care about the real numbers behind these projects, not just the flashy headlines. That's exactly the kind of person this channel is built for. So drop a comment below, tell me your honest take, and I'll see you in the next one.